Hey everyone. Yeah, I thought I'd do this video. I was going to do it before I went to work today, but got a little rested, wanted to rest a little bit more. And you're probably wondering, why am I in my street clothes instead of my uniform, seeing as though I've talked about working possibly 8 hours today. Well, today's my mom's birthday, and my family kind of let me know that they're all going to be here, and that'd be kind of ashamed if not kind of wrong for me not to be here. So I explained the situation in my job, and thank the Lord they understood, because ironically we're at a time in my job where we have what's known as a code sunshine, basically meaning basically meaning that if associates need to, due to certain reasons, they can voluntarily take time off and it won't be held against them. I could work, like today I worked about almost 4.5 hours. So the rest of that could be taken, it won't be, the missing hours won't be held against me. Because it's a voluntary deal, I've cleared it with the right people, the right channels, and well, here I am. Anyway, with that said, thought I'd do a bit of a vid here to kind of explain last night's Raw ending. You know, last night's Raw ending it's got some people wondering, what is WWE doing? And, you know, they're basically wondering, why of all times now are they bringing Sting back? And here's why, if you look at it from an overall storyline perspective, because when you think about it, this thing with Sting versus the Authority storyline, whether we like the Authority and everything, and whether we like the way Sting has been brought in and used, this storyline, when you go back to it, is the only real constant storyline they have. And Sting, and basically what they're doing is they're taking a page out of WCW's playbook, maybe even a page out of what they've seen in TNA, and they're trying to make something out of it that seemingly is not always, it seemingly is something that won't always have one of the major players like Sting in your face all the time. You know, he won't always be in your face all the time, so for them to do what they're doing with Sting, I think is probably, like I said, the only consistent story base that they have. Let me explain. You see, Sting has been presented as a vigilante, basically someone that rights the wrongs of those that do wrong, or those that don't do the right thing, those that don't, you know, don't do what, you know, basically don't do the right thing, that don't, you know, don't let justice prevail, if you will. So here's a vigilante saying, hey, from a storyline perspective, it says, it's basically being presented as, hey, anytime you guys try to do something wrong, I'm going to show up. Now you might be wondering, well, why didn't he show up throughout the summer? They were doing all this kind of stuff. Well, at the time, and I'm sure they're going to incorporate this into the story, at the time the Authority didn't seem like much of a threat. It seemed like the Authority, from a storyline perspective, was doing the right thing, giving people what they wanted, and there was, you know, there was no questions asked. Now all of a sudden you have a situation where the Authority is telling Seth, hey, because, you know, you're such a great champion, you beat John Cena, you're the first person to hold the WWE World title, the United States title, guess what we're going to do? We're going to give you a statue to stand alongside those of Andre the Giant, Bruno Sammartino, and the Ultimate Warrior. So of course, maybe from a storyline perspective, you got a sense that this got under Sting's skin, and he, like anybody else, is like, why would you want to give this guy a statue, immortalize this guy in a statue with a statue when he hasn't really proven himself on his own, when he hasn't really gone out, defended that championship, on his own without any help against people like a John Cena, against people like a Roman Reigns or Randy Orton. Why hasn't he gone out and done that? Why is he always dependent on those to help him out? And from a storyline perspective, that could be what the reason is, why Sting was brought back. Another reason, from the storyline perspective, is Sting realizes that the only way you can take power and control away from a group like the Authority is take the one thing that they hold dear to them, and that's the WWE World Heavyweight Championship. You take the world title, you hold it up, maybe you add a stipulation saying, hey, I'll vacate this belt, but only those that have truly deserved a shot, who have earned the shot by doing things on their own, deserve to compete for it. Perhaps that's what they're going to do. I don't know. I don't really know, but the point is, with Sting showing up, it basically continues overall this story arc that he has with the Authority. Basically the overall thing is, when Sting shows up, he shows up only when the Authority isn't doing the right thing, isn't, doing what the fans want. So, which is why now he's going to go after Seth Rollins, because if he takes out the Golden Boy, the Authority's got no other choice but to maybe fold or give the fans what they want. So that's what I'm looking at here. It's like he's going to appear when the Authority does wrong. If the Authority does right, he's not going to get in the face. He's going to leave him alone. He's going to leave him alone. If they do wrong, he's going to show up. Now, one of the things I'm sure he'll mention either in a sit-down interview or this upcoming Monday on Raw is he's going to probably say, hey, why would you want to immortalize a guy like Seth Rollins when he hasn't even really proven himself as a legit champion by doing things on his own and without depending on you? He might even, what I've been thinking is that one of the things that Sting might bring up, maybe, or they might have Sting bring up in storyline, is that because of the situation with Triple H, is he'll say something like, all Triple H is doing is that, the reason Triple H is doing all this is out of desperation. He's not, it's out of desperation. This is why Triple H, doesn't, hold on for a sec. He might, they might have him in stories say something like, this is what, the only reason Triple H is doing all this, the reason he wants to immortalize Seth with a statue, the reason he's not reprimanding Seth for a lot of the matches where he's squeaked by with the help of others, is, squeaked by with the help of others. Sting can bring up the fact that the reason Triple H hasn't done any of that, the reason he wants to immortalize Seth with a statue and all that, is because he's, from a storyline perspective, as I was trying to get to, maybe Sting will bring up that Triple H is desperate to prove everybody that doubted him in choosing Seth Rollins as the chosen one, of anointing Seth as the one to pass the torch to, as being being the wrong choice. That basically Triple H was wrong in choosing Seth Rollins and he should have chose somebody else. Or if he wanted to get the job done, why didn't he just do it himself? You know, that could be one of the main reasons they bring up. I'm not saying that's the case. But what I see here is a storyline that, you know, it's the kind of storyline that you take a break from and then you go back to because you know there's more to the story. And like I said, with Sting showing up and now going after Seth Rollins, it's basically saying, hey, if I take this belt and I beat your boy for it, not only is it going to prove that everything you've said about this guy is a lie, but it's going to show that you and Stephanie are not ready yet to run a company like this is without putting your egos in check or without letting your egos get out of control. So to me, I may be one of those in the minority, maybe the majority, that actually likes what they're doing here, because it's basically you're slowly taking your time with basically what is an overall arcing story. I mean, when you think about it, look at the whole situation with Sting and Hogan. Okay, that went from fall '96 and was built up from then all the way up to Starrcade '97. Okay, they took their time, and when Sting would show up and when they would call for Sting to beat up on the NWO, he would beat up on them. Sure, he'd be most of the time being in the rafters and everything, but when he made his intentions clear and he needed to do so, he'd show up when the situation called for, beat up on the NWO. It became a moment people would talk about, and the rest is history. And WWE, like I said, is taking a page out of that playbook, but they're doing it in a sense that you're not forcing Sting in your face all the time. You're basically having Sting show up when he knows a wrong has to be righted. So, to me, that is why Sting was brought back on Raw, in my opinion. It's all part of the story arc that began at Survivor Series and probably is going to culminate at Survivor Series this year. I'm not saying that's true or not, but that's just my thoughts and reasoning on why Sting was brought back the way he was. But let me know what you guys think down below. What do you think about Sting's return? Do you think he was brought back for that very reason? Or do you think maybe they just didn't have anything for Seth? Let me know down below. Talk to y'all later.